I'm Jordan Walbesser. I'm Director of Legal and Business Affairs at Mattel. What I do at Mattel, I wear a lot of different hats. I'm a video game and monster truck attorney, but I work with and I lead the legal aspect for our digital gaming and future lab teams. And both of those teams are involved in Web3, involved in blockchain, involved in our emerging technologies that Mattel wants to start exploring. You know, it's kind of interesting. I found myself in the Web3 space a bit by accident. Part of it is because of my background as a computer engineer and having an understanding of the underlying technology and being, for all intents and purposes, a technology lawyer. So when the business started exploring these options, they came to me to start looking at the issues surrounding it legally and from a regulatory standpoint. And that's where I got into it, and it's been a learning experience ever since. The C-suite should be talking about why. They should be thinking about their purpose, they should be thinking about the mission and why they want to get involved in Web3, why they want to use blockchain, why they're talking about NFTs and digital collectibles. Just being a part of a trend isn't a good reason to do this. There has to be some form of utility, otherwise it's going to be wasted time, energy, and most importantly, money. Once you figure out your why, then you can start planning ahead for your next steps. So you figure out your mission, and then you start to talk about activation. And there's a lot to think about, and it really takes a coordinated team. It cannot be siloed. It's not just finance talks to legal, talks to business, talks to marketing, talks to brand. They all have to be in the same room at the same time, and it has to be more than one meeting. There needs to be a quarterback or a glue that is binding those teams together, because in order to execute quickly and effectively, everyone needs to be talking to each other so that they can pivot accordingly. I think it can't just be the C-suite, it has to be the business as well. And I think both have to exist, okay? So you have to have permission for that mission to go forward. So you have to have authorization from the C-suite explicitly to say, take these risks and try this. If you just have a business team that wants to go forward with it, they may be lacking that wider vision, that wider why, and maybe they fell victim or they were seduced by a great marketing pitch or a great tech that says, oh, you should be doing this, everyone else is, and the business says, sure, we can just throw money at this and we'll be part of this, we'll get some good buzz. The truth is, maybe you get some good buzz, but then it stops, and then you've wasted a lot of time and energy on something that you could actually build out. So I think it needs to be both. Some lessons that I can share for working in this space, you have to keep abreast of what's going on. So a lot of it, and it doesn't mean that every hour of the day you have to be following everyone's Twitter account. You have to know about the major movements, the trends, the shifts. You have to be very critical about what you read. And that may be one of the most important lessons that I've learned, because there are lots of people that talk, there are lots of people that say they're experts. Chances are, if they say they're an expert, they're not. Okay, so there's so much that you just have to trust your own gut and your own research, especially when it comes to intellectual property or it comes to the regulatory environment. You have to manage that and learn that yourself. You can't just go out and depend on someone else to tell you an accurate answer. So the future of Web3, I wish I had a crystal ball. I think it's going to do a couple things. With every major technological trend, there is a rapid adoption and then there's a pushback. And we're in that pushback phase. And the pushback is warranted because there's been a lot of Web3, especially in the NFT and in the crypto space, that has not had utility or has been downright fraudulent. And that's why there's pushback. That's a good thing, because I think it tempers and focuses and weeds out the successful ideas. So where I think Web3 is going, it requires a bit of standardization. It requires really, to unlock the true value of what the blockchain can do, is to have not just one company use it, but multiple companies, maybe in a market segment or for a certain commodity. If everyone can kind of agree on what a standard looks like, then that interoperability that Web3 promises can really be unlocked. And I think there's huge potential there. The other thing, as far as where I see Web3 going, and this is a bit of a cop-out, okay? I think it's going to affect us in ways that we simply don't expect. I think there are problems out there that can be solved by Web3, and we're going to have to discover those one at a time. It's not a solutions first, problem second universe. I think there are things out there that we just haven't even thought of that are going to be able to leverage this Web3 movement to great success. Parting advice for anyone interested in Web3, the metaverse, be critical about what you're doing. Don't do it just to say you did. I think intellectual property is a key component to the entire Web3 universe. So if you're a brand owner, understanding what rights you want to have and what rights you want to keep. If you are going to participate, it's understanding what rights you receive, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of confusion, especially for tokens like NFTs or digital collectibles, that you own whatever it is that's associated with it. Well, chances are that's not true. And to some extent, this is the history of intellectual property law, we are taking laws written 50 years ago, sometimes more, and trying to apply them to brand new technology. And we don't have the history yet for that. We don't know how that's going to shake out. So it pays to be very critical and to be very conscious of how intellectual property is going to be affecting these sorts of things. But most importantly, as part of my job and what I get to do every day, have fun, okay? Play around with this, experiment with this. There's so many great ideas out there that just haven't been realized yet, and it's going to require that play. So whatever you do, play around, have fun.